We're back to the Neil Haley Show on the Total Celebrity segment. And oh my gosh, this guest, as I was talking to him off air, I took a lot of his villain characteristics in my days in pro wrestling thinking about it. So I'm excited to welcome to the program celebrity Dolph Lundgren, author of Train Like an Action Hero, Be Fit Forever. Dolph, thanks for calling. And how many people love to hate you, especially during that time period, for sure?
Thanks, Neil. Nice to be on the show. Well, yeah, I think a lot of folks like to hate me there, especially back in the 80s where, it was Soviet Union, it was Gorbachev, it was Reagan, the evil empire, and all of that. So that movie really played into all of those things.
Yeah, and it's interesting to look back in your background before acting in Rocky IV. I'm just reading your bio that you have a career earning as a master's degree in chemical engineering. So kind of take us back to Dolph in his younger days. You had no plans of ever acting, did you?
Not really. I did a little acting when I was younger in junior high school, and then I got into engineering because my dad was an engineer, my other brother was an engineer, and it was a way for me to travel to go to America because I wanted to come here and I couldn't afford to buy a ticket myself, so I had to do it through education. And but I did martial arts, so I was a black belt in karate and a fighter who I won some of the the European heavyweight championships and a few other things, Australian heavyweight championships. So I was sort of accomplished fighter and scholar, but the acting happened after I came to New York, and I was going out with a singer in New York, Grace Jones, who was kind of a flamboyant character back in the day, and I met Andy Warhol and Michael Jackson, a few other people, and David Bowie, I remember. So that kind of got me to think about show business, and somebody just said, I did a little modeling to make some money, and somebody just suggested, to try acting and try movies, and I did. And within a year, I was out in California getting ready for Rocky IV.
Wow. So the relationship with Grace Jones, now I guess I could ask this question probably 20 years ago. I couldn't. How did you meet her, by the way? And especially you're looking at your background and your martial arts and different things like that to meet somebody who was very flamboyant at that point, Dolph. She was very, very well known at that time, period. For some people.
She was like Lady Gaga.
Yeah, for sure.
She was the Lady Gaga of those days. I was going to school in Australia. I was studying on a scholarship, studying engineering, and to make some money, me and my buddy, who was, another martial artist, we worked doing security at different rock concerts, and we worked at her concert, and then she picked us two to do special security for her when she went out and with her friends after the show. It turned out that she had her eyes on this, tall, blonde Swedish guy. I didn't know that because I was a kid. I didn't realize what was going on. But I guess I ended up in her hotel suite that night, and most people started dropping off, and it was pretty much the two of us left at the end of the evening. And one thing led to another, and we became a couple. And I then met her again in Tokyo when I was in Tokyo training karate, and then I came to New York, and that's when my path kind of veered off from academics into entertainment.
How old were you, Dolph, when you met Grace?
24,
25. And so being in that kind of limelight, being there and with Grace Jones and kind of hanging with her at times and seeing how crazy the paparazzi was at that time, this was all a whirlwind for you, right? This is something that you couldn't have imagined growing up, that you would be in this kind of as we call it sometimes, a circus in that whole process of meeting these people and stuff like that and being around Grace.
That's right. Yeah. Like I said, I went to a party in New York, and some little guy with white hair walked up and said, "And what are you famous for?" And I'm like, "Nothing as far as I know." And he took a picture of me, and it was Andy Warhol. And then he said, "I'm going to put you in my magazine." And anyway, he did that. And yeah, it was a shocker to see all that stuff. And back in the day, when Studio 54 was still around, and it was a crazy party scene because this is before AIDS and before there weren't really. I mean, a lot of people were doing drugs. I didn't know what it was, but it was happening, in front of everybody in the restaurants, because it wasn't really a social menace yet. It hadn't crack and stuff hadn't started. So there was people who didn't do cocaine and like go and kill somebody or steal anything. It was just like rich people who were doing drugs, And I saw that, and I was a bit confused by it, because I was always training and stuff. But then of course things got a little bit crazier when I met Sylvester Stallone and started auditioning for Rocky IV, because that was they had both the music business with Grace and those guys, and then I had the film business as well. I got kind of involved in both very quickly.
So tell us how you met Sylvester Stallone, because that's, I'm sure, a good, a very interesting story as well, Dolph.
Yeah, what happened was I was studying acting in New York, and I went out for a bunch of different little parts, movies. And one thing I went up for was a quote unquote boxing movie. And I thought, yeah, well, I'm a karate champion. I guess I could maybe play a fighter or something. I didn't know what it was, and I stood in line with about 100 guys. Got up to a table where there was a woman sitting there. I still remember her. She looked up from a list of names, and she said, "Oh, well, who are you?" And I told her my name, and she said, "How tall are you?" And I said, 6'4". She says, "Too tall." Next, okay, and I saw the poster behind her. It said Rocky IV. And I was like, wow, I'm a big Rocky fan, because I'd watched Rocky III with Mr. T when I was, it came out when I was in Australia when I was fighting. I remember, I was watching it in the movies. And so I thought, okay, a boxing movie with Sylvester Stallone. So I spoke to my acting coach when I was studying, and he said, yeah, he knew somebody who said they knew somebody who had met Sylvester Stallone. It was like a long chain of, people that I got some pictures taken in boxing gear, and then sent those off, and nothing happened. And Grace was actually in Europe. I was with her. She was shooting a Bond movie, and I was there hanging out.
Oh yeah,
Christopher
I remember
Walken
that.
was in it. I actually did a little bit part in that picture. I was just a walk on. Then somebody just called me from LA and said, "Oh man, I've been looking for you for like 6 months. Didn't have a phone number." Anyway, some poor guy was tracked me down, and then Stallone wants to meet you anyway. So flew me into Los Angeles from New York. I think I came from New York, and then I was in a taxi going to Paramount Pictures. We had offices, and I was waiting for him, and he came out, and he looked tanned and muscular. He was going to do Rambo too, I think it was. And long hair, and a little shorter than I thought, but that's me, being 6'4". So he took me in his office, and it was really nice. We spoke, and he showed me a bunch of folders of other actors. Like there's 5,000 guys up for the role. So there was a lot of people up for it, and then eventually, I had to go to New York, back to New York, train, put on some weight, start lifting weights, put on 10 pounds. Practice worked on my character, and then there was a screen test at the end of the year where it was me. And actually, when I walked in the elevator to have breakfast, the elevator opens, and there's a 6'5" blonde Russian guy there. I'm like, another one down there in the breakfast area. So there's 3 of us left.
Okay.
And I know, I thought it was just me, but it wasn't. And then they were kind of yelling and screaming as Drago, we'll kill you, I will, whatever it was, I must break you, but I kind of decided I must break you. I just kept it in, I decided to play him very, very internal and just be kind of stoic, and it worked. So next day, I flew back to New York, and the Stone called me, "You got the part, kid." So that was it, man.
It's really interesting, Dolph. When you talk about that story, you thought, okay, you're such an unbelievably great looking villain Russian. why would they even consider anyone else? And because the icon of that movie, and to know that it was that hard of a part just to get the part against Stallone in a fight like Mr. T. So that's an interesting story to know. You, even though you were going through all this, you might have not gotten the part. So you wouldn't think of that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's true. It's well, that's it. You know, sometimes in the big movie they don't take chances, especially if you got unknowns, and you want to make sure they can handle it. So I think the proof was on the film. I mean, I saw that. Stallone showed me that piece of film somewhere, and it was interesting. It was quite, you know, I looked like the guy immediately, but I guess they needed somebody to compare it to, you know, somebody else, you know, that. But like I said, there was the performance that, you know, I'd studied these Soviet cadets where they kind of walk with their chin up. They have this position where their chin is really high, kind of like a proud, you know, Soviet soldier. And I kind of adopted that kind of look. Where I didn't move much, but I kept that stance very kind of rigid. And, you know, and then of course I could box really well. So for a big guy, you know, because I was, you know, I can move really well. It helped as well with the character.
Now, again, Stallone. What height was Sylvester Stallone? By the way, you're 6'4".
You know, I'm not sure, but maybe, you know, 5'11" or something like that. Maybe.
Yeah, 5'11".
I mean, 5 inches. 5 inches, you know, 4 or 5 inches, you know, time difference. And then he put me on a box sometimes to make me look even taller, depending on the camera angle.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Kind of like how Hulk Hogan.
For instance, now I'm doing.
Yeah, sorry, Dolph. Go.
Yeah, Hulk Hogan is how tall is he? 6'5", maybe.
Yeah, about 6'5". Yeah, and they made him like he was 6'9", 6'10", and as Thunder Lips. I remember that correctly. Yeah. Yeah. So interesting.
Yeah. Well, they had. You know, I'm doing this picture Creed 2 now, and you know, my son. I'm actually preparing for it right now, and my son is this Romanian boxer, and he's 6'4", but you know, Michael B. Jordan is maybe Stallone's height. I don't know if he's even maybe a little bit shorter. So that's going to be a huge difference.
Oh yeah, so I forgot about it. So this is something that wasn't even in the bio that you're going to be in the next Creed film. So and that's interesting that they're bringing back some of the same storylines from the Rockies. I think that's great. Yeah, with the younger.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fun.
Oh, for sure.
It's exciting. Well, it's exciting. I think that Drago's back and the Russians are back again now. With, you know, it's Putin and Trump. It used to be Reagan and Gorbachev. So, but it's still it's a good time to do a movie about, you know, Russian bad guys and so forth, I think.
All right, we're talking.
Actually, there's a good relationship in the picture. Yeah, it's a kind of a father-son relationship. That the new director is a young 28-year-old African-American guy from New York, Stephen Caple. He's really, really good, and I think he's gonna make a really great, well-made picture.
All right, we're talking to Dolph Lundgren, author of Train Like an Action Hero, Be Fit Forever. So after this film, and again, like I said, Rocky IV is my favorite, and to see Stallone win after it looked like the whole world, it was no way he could beat him. I remember watching the whole film, the whole fighting in Russia. I think it's just because of that time period. It was perfect. Perfect film for a perfect time period. Almost kind of like what you're saying now with Putin and Trump and the whole Russian thing. Hey, let's bring back all that history. What happened after that you weren't involved in much acting after that film? After it was such a success, you were really a great villain. What happened to you after that, Dolph? Life after Rocky IV?
Well, what happened was I ended up doing a bunch of other movies. Masters of the Universe, '86. Then I did The Punisher, the first Punisher picture. Okay. Then there's a series called Universal Soldier with Van Damme.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Okay.
Did that picture. Then, ended up having a family, moving back to Europe. My ex-wife, I'm divorced now, but she didn't want to live in L.A., so we ended up in London.
Oh, there you go.
Spain, Marbella, was there for 20 years, actually. And I mean, I've had it in my house for 20 years, but about 8 years ago, Stallone called and, go to script, check it out. So it was Expendables. So I ended up doing 3 of the Expendables pictures, sort of back to back with promotion and stuff. That took about 6-7 years. Moved back to LA. I'm getting a girlfriend here. My daughters are 21 and 16. The 21-year-old lives in London. She's modeling there, and she's moving back here with me soon. I'm going to help her. She wants to get into acting. And the other one, 16-year-old, is in Spain with her mom studying in high school. And, so I've done about 6, believe it or not, I think, I did a movie called Aquaman last year for Warner Brothers with Jason Momoa, Nicole Kidman, and William Dafoe. It's coming out for Christmas this year. But that was this Creed 2 will be my 70th picture.
70th, wow.
70 movies.
Well, I was just, so I'm sorry. I got. Sorry, I was going to jump on this.
When I got into business, you obviously haven't followed my career, but when I got into business, I read about John Wayne, who had done 100 movies, and I'd done 1. And I thought, oh, man, 100 movies. How can you make that many movies? I mean, and then I'm up at 70, so there you go.
I see. There goes Dolph. I guess it's CTE from all my pro wrestling days, getting hit by chairs and different things. But I was just reading the bio I had.
Yeah, I figured that's probably what did it. Yeah.
I was looking at the Wikipedia. I wasn't reading Wiki. I should have read Wiki. I was reading your bio from your book. Sorry about that. It didn't do you justice of all the films.
Don't worry about it. It's cool. It's cool.
It didn't do the justice of all the films you were.
But you have a chance now to make up for it. You can go and see Creed 2.
Exactly.
You get to see Ivan Drago again.
Exactly. So when is Creed 2 coming out? Dolph, when is that coming out?
Coming out Thanksgiving this year. So it's Michael B. Jordan playing Apollo Creed's son, Adonis Creed. It's me playing Ivan Drago, and my son, his name is Victor in the movie, is played by a Romanian boxer, and then Stallone is doing as Rocky, of course, and there are a few other people that from the past who reappear. So it's kind of an homage a little bit to, the Rocky series, and it's really about family. The movie's about family. Michael B. Jordan's family, my family, and Stallone's family.
Well, Dolph, again, I'll make up for that, and I do have a contact for you, not just your publisher. Hey, and he is fantastic, by the way, and how we were finally able to connect. So I'll start hitting him up closer to the movie so we can talk about the movie and do more about that for sure when we get to that. But let's talk about your book now. Train Like an Action Hero, Be Fit Forever. Let me give you an example. I was never in as great shape as you were when I was a pro wrestler, but now at 45 years old, I feel like I want to get back in shape. I'm not in awful shape. I'm not like this fat. I'm almost 6'10", about 270 pounds, but back in the day I was 310 and pretty good muscle. I want that shape again. So kind of motivate me at this point and motivate people listening how you can still do this at any age as long as you really put your mind to it, and how you came up with this book.
Well, the book is a kind of autobiographical fitness book. I speak about, my youth and what happened, my dad and that relationship, and then I got into more sports like boxing and martial arts, and then into the movies and how I trained for various movies like Rocky IV, Universal Soldier, Expendables, so forth. But, basically my method of training is just to be a bit all round, to do weights, to do strength training, to do cardio, to do rehab. Once you get a little older and you have injuries, you have to work on those. You have to be more careful, and then you have to work on your flexibility. So, there's certainly a method to the madness. You have to put some work into it, but at any age you can certainly get in shape, because our bodies are they're very wonderful, reactive, pieces of machinery. Like if you walk 5 minutes day 1, day 2, you want to walk 7 minutes. You just feel like you want to do a little more. And, day 10, you'll be going for a half hour. So you have to start out slow, and you have to have realistic goals. So don't lift too much, too heavy weights too early. Don't do too much cardio, because then if you assess your results too early, you're just going to quit because you don't think, you're going to lose your patience. You have to take time. You have to, think in terms of months and half a year.
Right.
A year from now, I'm going to be like this. I'm going to be such and such shape or whatever.
So do you need to drop certain weight, Dolph?
Don't rush into it.
Exactly. For whatever body fat you have left, do you recommend losing some of that weight before putting on the muscle, in your opinion, in training?
Yeah, I think your training should be losing body fat and gaining muscle and keeping your cardiovascular fitness. So you have to, obviously eat cleaner. I'm on a diet about 6 days a week, and on the 5.5 days, and on Saturday night usually I cheat, and on Sunday I can eat anything I want, and then the rest of the week I'm pretty strict. I don't eat too much sugar or fat or sodas or juice or desserts, but those 2 days on the weekend I can have fun and enjoy food, which is what you should be able to do.
So how are you able to stay on that diet, Dolph? That's something to ask everybody, especially how busy you are. You're constantly on the go. How do you stay on that diet? Especially, what's the best way?
It takes some mind power. Obviously results. I mean, once you see results, then you self-motivated to keep going with it. I have to be in shape for movies. So for me, I have a motivator right there. I have to be on screen. I know, if I do Creed 2 and I take my shirt off and my son looks great, he's 28 years old, I want to look pretty good too. I mean, I want to look good for my age, and that's a motivator. But staying on it, for me, what it is the fact that I can cheat with a good conscience on the weekends, because you have to spike your metabolism sometime during the week. Otherwise, your body shuts down and you stop losing weight, which happens to a lot of people because you go on some kind of diet, you just eat salads, and then your metabolism shuts down. And you have to eat real food. You have to eat like steak and rice, potatoes, chicken and rice. You have to eat real food, but don't snack in between. And if you lift weights, lifting weights, getting more anabolic makes you hungrier. So it's like a positive sort of cycle that you want to get into instead of the negative cycle,
Gotcha, Dolph. Well, again, it was really interesting talking to you. Some of the stories that people might not have known about you. And now, again, Creed 2, your book. Where's the best place we can connect with you? You can purchase your book definitely on Amazon and other places as well, Dolph. But best place we can connect with you and learn more about you, where can we go?
Okay, man. Well, we'll talk for Creed 2, and I hope you enjoy the book.
Absolutely. So, Dolph, where is the best place we can connect with you and find info on you? Is there a place best to go for? Yeah.
To connect for what?
Connect with you.
Book?
Yeah.
Amazon is good.
Amazon, but what about you, like social media wise? Are you on social media and stuff, Dolph?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram story, Facebook. Yeah.
Awesome.
It just if you look up my name, Dolph Lundgren Official, it's there, and Instagram as well. So just check it out, man.
Hey, Dolph, it was a great talking to you. I hope we finally get to meet someday in person, so I've always looked up to you. Now you'll have to look up to me. That would be an interesting thing to see. But hey, we'll stay in touch. Thanks for taking the time, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks, buddy.
I take it. Bye-bye. Bye.